All right. So with this being episode kind of 2 from our last the Clan Days podcast that we did last week. Again, we have Gerchap, we have m2dave, and Storms here. Just to recap, we wanted to recap on last podcast. The next topic was going to be the transition from Mortal Kombat Deception to Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And then we had Discord, Twitter, Facebook, etc. The effect on gaming sites, forums, etc. And then the MK11 trailers, which that'll be interesting because with all the apparent leaks that have supposedly surfaced this afternoon. But anyway, so we want to recap from the clans. Do we want to mention the clans that were formed after the big ones? I know, Gerchap, you mentioned that.
Right.
Yeah, so we had a few clans I could think of, and the one that I remember even had like a really fancy site. Do you guys remember AI, like artificial intelligence? I mean, they weren't like a dominant really, but they had someone put in a lot of work to like their website. It wasn't anything like, it was just basically player profiles. I know they had like such a huge roster. It was like anyone who wanted to join just joined. And anyway, the main chunk of that one was just like, I remember their website like just being really fancy and stuff. But again, as far as their roster, I think they had like 50 people. It was pretty crazy. But the other clans I could really think of, I know BMF, of course, was another big one that Crazy was part of. Of course, I had DM back in the day, Darkness Marches, and there was you guys remember RK, right? Resurrected Knights.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, so that one, and am I missing any? I mean, there were so many clans that I know I'm missing. Some.
I think it's a little bit unfair to put because I guess to group DM, not that you're doing it, but like BMF with or AI or some of the other, because BMF was one of the best clans at that time.
No, you have a point. Now, I was just the names that were randomly coming to me that I just recalled after our discussion. Those are the ones that I thought about. But no, you're right. Like BMF they were up there.
Yeah, because I know they had Crazy, they had Shogun. I'm trying to remember who else they had. Was it Fat Girl? Or was she in DM? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, she was DM. Yeah, Lilani, I believe her name was. She was from like Hawaii or something. I remember her connection was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was horrible. But
Drums, I think he was DM. He was one of those ones that developed into a really good player. Who else? There was a DM God who also was Cynic, but again, he wasn't. I think he was in DM. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so perhaps we should move to the transition from MKD to MKA. Now, this after MKD, I think I fell off a little bit. I think I must have moved out or whatever because I wasn't really heavily on that game, or maybe I was at first and I fell out of it. So were you guys heavily in MKA when it first came out?
Well, I was I think what happened is a lot of people didn't like the aerial combo system, so a lot of people whatnot, and I think kind of maybe like the game lost some of its flavor, because like online, I heard it had already started becoming like kind of part of the fighting game scene, and again, a lot of people didn't like the the aerial combos. Like the game was more balanced, and brought some new players like Rio. I remember also playing to win. That's when he started playing, and some like the other players. But I'm not sure. Like I thought, like it was a good experience, but it wasn't like what MK Deception used to be. At least that's kind of how I saw it.
No,
I don't know. I don't know what
MKA, like the aerial combat, I just thought that was terrible. I mean, yeah, I mean, with them throwing every single character on the roster, just kind of setting up for a disaster, I thought.
Yeah, and then I remember Czech found out about the the infinite combos for the aerial, and you could just kind of loop them all over.
Oh yeah,
again.
yeah. He did do
It
that.
was
Of course, check, right?
Yeah. Of all people.
So that kind of we thought, okay, we were past the the infinite combos, and all that stuff, and I know they gave us like a wake up system, so the 50-50 mix-ups were not as strong as they used to be, but and they balanced some of the stuff, like the tombstone drop, got slower, and but then again, they added like Serena, who would throw knives.
Oh
like
my gosh, yes, I know
100
Rio
miles
was.
Yeah. And they made some of the bosses playable, which that was also an issue. Because remember, we banned bosses for a while.
Yeah.
I remember it was Moloch. Moloch. That was it. Blaze, right? Moloch, Blaze. Those are like the super top tier characters. Moloch, Blaze. I don't remember. Oh yeah, Moloch, Blaze, and Onaga. Those are like the.
Right.
And I remember they called them like mobs, which is short for Moloch, Onaga, and Blaze, because those, I think, they didn't really build any matchups, but like a lot of moves you couldn't do to them, like you couldn't throw them,
Oh yeah, you're right.
and they took like reduced damage. It was like something insane, and
Some special didn't work on them either.
Yeah, like the tombstone drop, you didn't launch a lot of them. They actually didn't launch those three, so it was, so like there was disagreement about that. Are they allowed or not? And that was obviously huge discussion back in the day. So a lot of
what?
Go ahead.
Yeah. One thing about MKA was the I don't know if you guys did it in the PS side, but were you guys doing jump kick combos?
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Well, I remember them from like Deception, where they.
It wasn't, but it wasn't quite the same though. It was It wasn't the same because in the Xbox side only a few people were doing it, and a lot of people were just saying, "Oh, it's a glitch, or is the connection." Or because a lot of people were trying, but not many were launching those, and it was easy to beat. And myself, out of all the guys in the Xbox,
can you give me a quick example, Gerchap? What do you mean?
All right. So, for example, right, for the man, it wasn't really a jump kick combo. It was jump kick and another like a special or another hit. For example, I used to jump kick and do the drum in the I believe it was back 3 or something like that. But it was something that it looked very glitchy, But it wasn't connection. It wasn't anything. But it was just the timing. It was just the perfect timing. And then I saw Czech doing those two on the PS. But at the beginning, only Easy to Be was doing that stuff, man. It was just like new, And I was trying it because I spent a lot of time with him, so he was giving me the like all the tips. But it was cool. I'm gonna try to find a video and I'll show you guys. But it was just a jump kick, and then like a special move or like with scorpion jump kick, and then the spear, like something like that. I have to find videos for that because it was a very good stuff, and a lot of people were just talking talking bad about it, and talking about like, oh, it's the connection, but it wasn't connection. It was just the perfect timing.
I know the jumping kicks in Mortal Kombat Deception, they kind of stun you, right?
Yeah.
You can get like a free throw, whatever, at least a mix up.
But it wasn't quite the same though, because it just looked a little different. But I was just that you had to kick, and when you were about to land, you had to jump, and when you were about to land, just kick. So you pump up the opponent, and then you could start like a combo or something like that.
Did
So
Doohoo do that stuff too? I remember Doohoo
No.
doing that, but I couldn't remember if that was Deception or Armageddon.
No, he wasn't doing that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Probably at the very end of Armageddon, but at the beginning it was only one guy doing that shit. But it was very cool. Yeah, it was very nice. And one thing that I wanted to tell you guys, and obviously the website TYM, with the transition between Deception and Armageddon, I just have to give props to this guy, Master Malone. He was the guy. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Conquer might remember that he went to the expo, and I believe it was in LA, and he was the one providing all the information, all the news.
Oh yeah,
from the expo.
Wow.
Do you remember that? Yeah,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah. Because like back in the day, there wasn't like a lot of these websites. Like we were just like hungry for information about the game.
Right.
And I remember actually pick up the hat to start a thread on MKO about stuff that we wanted Malone to ask the team Midway, and it was actually very cool. And Malone took a lot of pictures, man. And and I remember he couldn't upload them online or something like that. I don't remember what happened, but he had to send the all those pictures to Conquer, and Conquer opened the thread showing all those pictures. It was just yeah. It was just like, yeah, it was very good. And I mean, I know he's going to listen this podcast, and I appreciate your help, Malone. This it meant a lot, because like 13 years ago we wanted to hear and information about the game, and we couldn't. So he was our voice of the community back in the day. So that was actually very, very cool. Thank you. Yeah.
I remember that. That's true.
Oh wait, and another thing is that if Czech listens to this podcast too, Czech found something that it was very important. He wanted Boone to know. So I remember Czech told Malone, he opened a thread or on a post. He said, "Can you please show this to the team? And if they know, Czech found out that the player 1 had an advantage over player 2.
Oh yes, I do remember that.
So that
sort of the whole player 1 advantage. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he pretty much told Malone to show the team if they were aware of this big glitch. Big glitch. So it was fun days.
Yeah.
Fun
Wasn't I know Czech was part of the I know many others were too, but who was the first one to post about the Toasty Boost in MK9? I know Tony T from Australia, he also had a hand in that, but I remember that. I mean, that wasn't really an error, that was like meant to be found, but it just made me think of that. So I know there are a lot of hands in play with that. Like once they were discovered, like everyone was just trying all the inputs, and I think within just a few days they found them all.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I think it might have been Czech. I don't remember exactly who it was, honestly, but I assume it's probably him.
All right, so onward to. Did you guys want to talk about the Dave, your social media subject?
Yeah, I just kind of want to get this off my chest. It seems to me like, I don't know, but I'm getting old, and I guess all of us are like in our early or mid 30s. But it just seemed like yesterday we were browsing either with like Shoryuken or Tekken Zaibatsu or Test Your Might, and the sites were flourishing information. In some sense, they still are. But then it's like a lot of this information is not really available on the websites anymore. Like, for example, for today, Negan came out for Tekken, and I'm trying to learn the combos, trying to see what the best moves are. And a lot of that stuff is on Twitter, Reddit, Discord. And I don't know whether I'm just getting old, but I honestly I just don't like that. It seems like a lot of those people are abandoning those websites for these other social media, and it's hard to find information because it's not organized. I just don't know what happened. It just seemed like yesterday we were, because I guess Storms, you can, because you own the website, you can speak better, than
Yeah, I mean,
Gerchap or I on it.
well, I mean, Gerchap is of course no stranger to this either, but with Discord, Twitter, Facebook, part of it, I think, with Twitter, people just are, maybe they consider it their own domain to where it's, they find things on their Twitter, they get things retweeted, they're doing it for followers, maybe not doing it for followers, but they're gaining followers by finding these things and just building their own audience, like their own brand, so to speak. So that could be part of it. You don't have that direct connection with, Test Your Might. I actually tried to get that before to where it'd be like testyourmight.com / whatever your name was, but that, of course, that never happened. But the other part of it is just, just whatever is, maybe not whatever is new, but it kind of maybe is, because Discord, tons of people use it. I don't use it really for discussion at all, other than recording this podcast. So it's kind of like anyway. But yeah, as far as discussing tech and whatnot in this kind of environment, I've heard mixed reviews with it being very disorganized and just kind of all over the place. And like you mentioned, you could trying to find this stuff on Twitter where you have this say this person has 3,000 tweets, and well, last month he posted something really valuable that you would have liked to have seen. Well, the best way to view that now is if you liked it back then and go through your liked tweets and all the other stuff. There's also Facebook groups, but really with forums, the best that I can do for Test Your Might, for example, is just to kind of keep moving it forward in the direction of, like, we're on Z4O forum software, so whenever those updates come out, they make it more user friendly, more mobile friendly. I mean, it's all about mobile anymore. Not that most people are on mobile, so I'm sure a lot of people are also on desktop, but to have it a responsive design is so key anymore that if you're not doing that, then you're just kind of asking to be left behind. With the update that we're gonna have, we should be even more mobile friendly. I mean, we're kind of mobile friendly now. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's what we have. But at the same time, I just accept the fact that there's going to be difficulties, there's going to be challenges, and I just try to think of how to go about staying relevant. And, thankfully we have news editors that are always after this content. 'Cause I don't really post news anymore. I don't, between not having time and just I let them do it. They do a great job. Maybe not, I forget what it was, last year and a half ago. I mean, I took a long break. I mentioned that many times. And during that time, there was very little updates that I'm aware of. If the front page was ever updated, often it wasn't by me. And I think maybe during that time, with me just kind of needing a break, maybe my biggest mistake then was just basically kind of announcing that even in a moderator forum or whatever, and just kind of trying to hand it off to someone, and I didn't. I just kind of I just needed a break, and it was kind of like a cold turkey. So that could have been just a really big mistake that I made back then, to where in just this 2 days that a lot of the information that would have been there, because at the same time you have Discord. Yeah, it could be a lot of things, but now I'm just trying to not really dwell on it, because there's really no point in dwelling on it, but just kind of moving forward. I'm excited for the updates that we have coming. I'm excited for MK11, and yeah, what are your thoughts on all this, chap?
You know, I feel like the biggest problem is that you know, social media, that's what is trending, and it will be trending for a long time, you know, like and let's just think about this. So Facebook bought Instagram, and Facebook bought WhatsApp, so because they want to keep it for themselves, you know what I mean?
Right.
So Facebook knew that Instagram was going to be huge for photos and all this stuff, so they want to be like part of that. So in the new generation, they know about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all these social media sites, and they want to be there. And honestly, we all are. You know, I don't use Twitter as much. I mean, I never use it, but I have an account. I use Facebook mostly to, you know, like, interact with my friends in back in Guatemala. So we all are in social media, and that's why it's like trending, and it's so hot, and it will be like this. So what we have to do, or what you have to do, you know, with TYM is just, you know, pretty much just coexist, and the loyal people are going to, you know. But the problem is that a lot of people that go to TYM or Shoryuken or you know, or MKU, you know, when I had MKU, they also have social media. And these Facebook groups, man, they're killing traffic too, because they have the same information that forums have. And honestly, I think, and as you know, like, and you, Dave, know this too, you know, like back in MKU, we were doing it just because of the people we liked, you know, like all our friends. That's
Right.
why we kept side running, you know. That's why we kept it running. It's not because we were making money, because we were not making money, you know.
Right.
It's just a matter of us just spending money, because, man, you know, like when you run on your own server, it's expensive, you know, and you need it because of the traffic you get, and you don't want a site that goes offline all the time, you know. So, but I think the problem is that it's you know, social media is just hot, you know. It's just trending, and I mean, it's hotter, you know. That's the problem.
Yeah, I also wanna, if you don't mind, I also wanna add to the fact that like a lot of high level players, like for me, even when I was competing, I was traveling, I've always liked whether it's MKU or Test Your Might or Tekizabatsu, because I think you can learn from people, you know, who are not necessarily high level players, but you know, but they may post some tech, or they may post a strategy and you kind of test it out. But like a lot of the players, you know, are like, I'm talking about competitive high level ones, oh, you know, can't go test your might anymore, like the scrubs, you know, like they can't really talk. I don't want to argue. So what a lot of high level players do is they have a, you know, very private conversation on Twitter, you know, maybe even Facebook, you know. I know on Twitter for sure, you know, they start a DM and start 10, 15 people, and they share all the information, you know, all the tech that, you know, that they find. And I mean, I've been, you know, part of those conversations as well. And so what kind of happens is that, you know, got like a group of players, you know, they advance very quickly, kind of leave everybody behind. Whereas I feel like back in the day, you know, we used to have a lot more high level players posting on those websites, which, you know, in some way would help the traffic as well. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I sure have.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I know when certain players leave and they make waves about it. Like, for example, I know Peg of the Hut left because of, you know, various reasons, whether it's members or whatever else. But I mean, trying to make everyone happy and having some kind of forum rules and everything else, it's, I don't know, it's can be a double-edged sword. You just have to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be begging any players to come back. If they're leaving, then, you know, good luck and you'll be fine. But, you know, it's just, it's difficult. But, however, with MK11 just kind of moving on, I'm sure there's going to be other players that find us, you know, and they're also going to be, I'm sure, discussing through social media too. But I'm sure we'll get more and more members through MK11's release. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more to say about that. It's just gonna have to do what we can to not be complacent, just kind of keep moving forward with it. And yeah, that's kind of the best.
Well, I
guess.
think also there might also be like a generational gap, maybe, you know, developing, you know, how we talked about Deception and Armageddon and how we grew up with those games, and how MKU and Test Your Might and MK Online, like how those websites really matter to us. Like it's not just, you know, some, you know, it's how we, you know, made friends. It's how, you know, how we even built our local scenes. At
what
that
you're
point.
saying is they were our social media then.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are our social media website. But now,
and that's no, go ahead. Okay, so and that's exactly my point. Is that's exactly my point, because that's what is trending right now is social media, Facebook, Twitter, you know, this like this Discord, right? So and this new generation, that's what they're using, you know, and not much the forums. So, but honestly, as much as I like Facebook, I'd rather go into an MK forum to get all my tech and my information, because I feel like social media is just like nonsense stuff, you know. If I want to get better at something, I'm just gonna go to the forum, you know, to read and socialize with the people that want the same as I do, you know.
Well, you figure it's a designated spot for that, you know, that specific, you know, discussion. So if you think about, I mean, just people that don't maybe realize that, you know, Test Your Might and other sites just like us are designated spots for this discussion, rather than Facebook. It's everything. You have a designated website for that, and because people just
because it gets lost. Gets lost.
Yeah.
You know, you want to just hang out with people that are talking about the very same thing.
Sure.
You know, you just want to socialize with these people, you know, like talking. That's why I remember, man, you know, back in the day when we had the shop box, it was just cool. It was just talking about like MK all freaking day, you know. But I feel like if another important thing is that the community has to have its leaders, you know, because the new people that are just browsing the site, if they see like a guy, like a leader type, you know, I don't really know much about people from TYM, but if I see someone always posting, always bringing traffic, like good, you know, like good subjects, man, I'm gonna like to be there, and I'm gonna like to be friends with this guy because this is the cool guy. You know what I mean? So, and that doesn't happen in social media, because there is just tons of people talking, and then all the stuff gets lost. Right. You know? So that's why I feel like I mean, the forums are going to be big if the game I mean, the game looks good, man. You know, I love Johnny Cage right now. Yeah, I mean, if Bo doesn't make it, I'm gonna main Johnny Cage. I don't even know why, but I will.
Yeah, so talking about Johnny Cage, that trailer, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like, I wasn't even excited about the possibility of Johnny coming back. He's just not a character that I'm like really ever hyped for. I'm not. Just
I have never.
Cassie Cage, I don't care about her. I mean, it's just me personally, but Johnny Cage, that trailer, like that actually made me really hype for him. And that between his fatality and his win pose, I'm like that's like the best. I don't know who's gonna top that. You know what I mean? Like that fatality is so perfect for him. It's a wonder why it took so long to have that. But that's that fatality is like dead on Johnny Cage.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I'm excited too.
Yeah, he looks definitely looks good. I know my cousin, Master D, he's definitely looking to use him, and he's excited about the game. And but I'm curious, which character, I mean, would you guys like to see for yourselves? I know for me, and again, you don't want to pretend like today there were so many leaks. I mean, it was ridiculous. Pretty much, I assume they're all legitimate from what we've seen. I would like to think so, and I know I'm looking forward to Noob. I was really, really hoping for Rain, but doesn't look like he's gonna make it in based on what from what we've seen. But I guess he still might. Are there any characters you guys are looking forward to?
Chap, how about you?
Go. Oh, I was saying the same thing. I like Noob. From the ninjas, probably I like Noob Saibot. His I like him. I don't really do much Scorpion of Sub-Zero. I don't know if because there are like always in the game, like that. Those never. I love Quan Chi, and obviously like Borracho, but I don't think he's gonna make it. Yep.
For me, I mean, obviously, Noob looks really good. If this image is legitimate, but yeah, he looks really good. As far as the one character, if I could get one character in this game that isn't listed at all, it's Fujin.
Yeah, like dude, we have to talk about that. Like, they can't. Usually, I'm a gameplay kind of guy, and the characters are kind of like secondary. I know it's silly to think, but not that I don't care. Like, a lot of my.
No, that's like Paulo speaking. I remember him saying like the same thing.
Yeah, but dude, they have to put Fujin in the game. Like, I think they need to get blown up if they don't, because this is a character. Speaking of, MK9 and the older MK games, this is like a character people have been asking since
MK4.
Yeah, like MK4. Like, they have to put him as DLC if they just want to make money, if they're smart businessmen. I don't see how they don't, put him in. I don't know what you guys have to say about that, but that's what I think.
I really thought that he was going to make it for MKX, and when he didn't, I was like, you got to be shitting me. Like, how is he not in here? Like, the MKD characters, MK4 characters like Raiko, Jarek, just bring back some, characters that are older and will, Dairo, bring him back. Like, really, like, bring Havoc back. Like, how? I don't get it. I mean, okay, so for example, if you brought Havoc back and a lot of people didn't know who the hell he was, well, for example, he's going to look really cool, because you can only imagine what Havoc would look like nowadays. Between that and like a Cassie Cage. Okay, you have Johnny Cage, you have Cassie Cage. Just get rid of one of them. Put Johnny in there. Have Havoc. There's Dairo. There's Ashra. I mean, I actually got two. I set up my PlayStation 2 today. I was actually playing Deception. I was actually playing it with my son for a little bit. But I totally forgot, like, just having to, when doing combos, having to hit that L1 button to continue the combos. But no, just that game, can't get over it. But yeah, if I had to pick one character, okay, so one character that is supposedly announced so far, or revealed, really excited about Noom just to see what kind of moves that he'll have. But the one character I really hope makes it is, of course, Fujin.
Yeah, for sure. Characters aside, do you guys have any comments on the? And I guess this is, for me, I don't know if I over-exaggerated, but for me it was kind of a big deal. about them. You know how the amplified moves, they had different inputs for each one of them. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Scorpion's, amplified teleport was, you do the teleport and you press up 3 or something like that, and then that would give you the, quote unquote amplified or meter burn version of the move. And instead of just pressing the stand switch button, which is according to 16-bit what he said on Test Your Might, that's what it's going to be. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's because they reverted it back to the simple form? Do you guys have any opinions on that, or you just don't care, or what do you guys think?
I think the simple form is going to be best. I mean, just for overall players, newbies. I think it's probably the smart way to go.
I think so too. For me, the if it's too complicated, man, if it's too many things, man, it's just harder for me to learn the game. The simple, the better.
I know, but one of the complaints was that everybody's counter picking in the game, and you have Rewind is using like 5 characters, Sonic Fox is using like 6 characters, like it just goes on and on. And not only are the best players in the game, but they also just can kind of see, counter pick each other using, because all the characters, are more or less very, very simple to use, with very, very few exceptions. So what you have is, a complaint, like, at a high level, and also for the spectator's point, you want to kind of see character loyalists. That's kind of what I grew up with. Like, you talk about Deception, I was the Dairu, and you had, people who were just sporadic, didn't really see that much counter picking. I know you always, obviously, it's fighting games, you always see some, but that's kind of what I'm used to. And I think, not that these moves are going to turn Mortal Kombat into a Virtua Fighter, but it kind of added another layer of depth, or even just memorization, if you will, that I really thought kind of mattered to me. And I think a lot of people were looking forward to that, and for them just to remove it, I don't think maybe competitive play should have this option where you can turn it on and you can have those old inputs, and then non-tournament play has the simple inputs.
Yeah, as far as that would be a good idea? Related to that, well, yeah, with that, I could see them adding something to it, like some kind of tournament input, because you're right, you're gonna have maybe a character that's simple to use for really anyone to pick up, but then you have a high level player just kind of tear through, and it's like nothing to them. But I guess, how do you differentiate that? You know what I mean?
Well, again, yeah, I think if you add an option, like for tournament, competitive, whatever you want to call it, mode, then
sure, yeah,
you make people learn. Again, it's not, people say, well, what's the big deal? You're just learning, 5-6 more inputs for, But if you're using 4 or 5 characters, that's, it can add up pretty quickly. And I was disappointed. I know I talked to Rio, and I talked to some of the old school players, who play Deception and Armageddon with us, and they were like, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed about this, because I was, and it was something different as well, because, Street Fighter doesn't do that. Obviously, Tekken doesn't. So, I don't know, Gerchap, do you have something to add about this, or?
No, not really.
Okay.
But now that you explained it like this, it does make sense. Yeah, they probably come up with something.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're elitist. Again, I just thought, again, it was something different. It would have added like another layer of depth, even if it's just memorization. I think it would have made the game honestly better, and it was like a step in the right direction. So, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, one thing I'm a little maybe concerned about, or maybe just not very clear on, because I haven't really been able to see a whole lot of the combat casts, but the variations, like, do they actually have different variations?
Well, that's another hot button, topic. They really didn't say anything, and 16-bit said on Test Your Might. And by the way, I'm glad that he's posting over there. giving, answering people's questions. Is they really haven't worked out anything yet. They didn't really say how it's going to be or how high level play. They haven't even used the word variations for that matter. The only thing we know is that, like when you hear 16-bit talk on the combat cast, like he's like, yo, these are the default moves and this is the move that you can add. But again, that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah,
so.
I remember them saying that there was going to be like a default like model for tournament play, but that doesn't really. I mean, so that basically says that you're going to have a character to play with. The variations from MKX, I don't know why they couldn't just. I thought the variations were awesome. I mean, that was my personal opinion, but I thought the variations were great. I really hope they bring them back. But I know as far as customizing and building your own moves, that sounds like MKA, where you're building your own damn character again. That was awful.
Yeah, remember create a character, guys.
Yeah, create your.
Yeah, that was bad.
Create your own fatality too, with like 16 fucking hits.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Yeah,
I got a Roast Rider and as a creator character, with the skull with fire.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's what people. Yeah, that's what people. Yeah, that's what people are afraid of. Again, I think at this point we all trust NRS because
yeah. It just says without not knowing, you can't help but wonder.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are frustrated. They want to know, and we, Rio and I and Tom, we did a whole podcast on this, and I don't want to beat a dead horse anymore. But yeah, you're right. It's a great question, and we really haven't received any word of what's really going to happen. That's the thing, especially if you're a competitive player, you really want to know. You're desperate. Like, okay, those moves that you're showing on the combat cast, and am I going to be able to use all of them, or is this just is this just for show? Like,
yeah, especially the special moves where it's like could possibly be a gear move or something.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. So that's kind of what I was implying, because you really don't know what's going on, and I know a lot of and they probably get bombarded with Twitter, with tweets on Twitter like, well, tell us, but yeah, 16-bit said, well, we haven't revealed that information yet, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait more patiently and see what happened.
Well, heck, after today, I'm sure they're going to make us wait even longer with these apparent leaks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the supposed leaked roster image, and it's pretty beefy. I'm pretty happy, but I just need to have Fujin and Dairu and Ashura make an appearance in there. So I know all three of us kind of agreed that we didn't want to go too long. I had some tech issues in the beginning, but is there anything else you guys wanted to cover, or do you want to go ahead and hang it up?
Gerchap, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, no, not really.
All right.
Just again, like hopefully the old gamers come back to the scene.
Hey, do you ever have BNR's contact information?
No, man. I was trying to go to my old email address, because we used to. I mean, like back in the day, there was no Facebook, there was Facebook, but it wasn't as popular.
Yeah, that was when it was probably still strictly for schools, right?
Yep. Yeah, right. And we used to just do AOL. You've got mail, or something like that, right? Like
right.
Like just chatting on MSN. But I didn't find anything. I just couldn't log in. I was trying. I think I found an email for this guy Stretch Shrimp.
Yeah.
I'm definitely after I hang out. After we end the call, I'm gonna try to send an email. Hopefully, I mean, it's been like 13 years since we last spoke. Yeah, but I mean, like that's exactly what I want. I would love to bring back these people. I mean, not myself, but I would like the game to bring back these people. A lot of us are like pushing 40. uh, I mean, I'm 39. I'll be 40 very soon. So, and a lot of us are like around my age. You guys are a little younger, and you know, more responsibilities. But I think these guys are going to be around.
I
You
really
know,
hope
and
so.
what I was thinking is that you know, for example, I talked to Trax, so I'm gonna force this guy to come back, you know, to the online scene. So in Trax talks to someone else, and player to win talks to someone else, and you know, Shijink think, you know, like stuff like that. So we're gonna have to bring back this old friends, you know. Dirty Loba talks to more people, Booyah, and you know, like I think it's gonna be great, and that's what I want. You know, bring back this all these people easy to beat, BNR, Be Ready, Dooku, Aliens in My Closet. Even though those guys were, we didn't, we ended up fighting. You know, they left the clan and stuff, and then after they left the clan, they were challenging us. They were no. Yeah, they were, and I remember. I think they posted in this thread saying, "Oh my God, the I forgot the name of this other clan. You guys have good people. Yeah, they did have good people in their new clan, but they couldn't beat us though. We, yeah, no, I mean, had a we had BNR and we had easy to beat in the same clan, and there was no way that people were going to survive those two guys.
That's fantastic.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
Gerchap talking shit 15 years later, huh?
Yeah.
You know, because
Let him hear
I
it.
want. Yeah, no, I want. I mean, you know, like time. I mean, it's been over a decade, right? But and cool with these people if they come back to the scene. Dooku, Agents, we were very good friends, man. Dooku joined the site MKO when Dooku couldn't even play. You know, like he was just not even an average player, and then he was playing with all of us, and he became a very good player too. You know, like elite status. So what I want from this is that we want all these people to come back. You know, I want to interact with them again because they were the true friends from back in the day.
Right.
You know, so that's what I want. And if I can, man, it's just gonna be great. Hopefully, MK11 makes this possible.
Well, Storms, just to go back to, do you have any, like, what are your expectations? Like, even if it's just bringing, back some of the old crew, or, playing with your son, like, what are your expectations for MK11?
Well, I have, of course, 4-year-old daughter, so it's gonna be hard for me to find time to
Oh, yeah.
play it. Like I other games that are not near as brutal, I can play those, but
Yeah.
with I mean, hell, even MKX, MK11, I'm definitely gonna be playing it when I can. Of course, working full time also, it's just gonna be difficult for me to find time, but I'm looking forward to it. It's more on this community side of things is where my focus is gonna have to be, and I'm just looking forward to coming up on these upgrades to make the site better than what it is now. But as far as the game goes, I'm really excited about it, and I just have to I have that obligation of making sure the site doesn't crash when the game comes out. So
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, I really hope that we see some players coming back. I'd be stoked if we saw a lot of these people that, again, Gerchap mentioned, and if we saw any of those come back. I mean, I'm still stoked every time I see Master Malone posting and just being just who he is. I love it. Just a really old name that's very familiar, and it makes you feel good. So, but yeah, that's about it for me.
And you know what? I really liked this guy that I can't remember his name. He posted about a week ago in the thread that I made about the asking for the people. He posted saying, "Reading this thread makes me want to have friends from this site." Because the way the thread is that we all were very good friends back in the day. I posted, and then they've been replying. I just replied, and nobody has replied. So anyway, with that said, is that like people that didn't really know us think that we were good friends online. So it's actually pretty good. And I'm telling you, man, like I used to work and then go back home and then first thing turn on the Xbox to go online. Yeah, man. I mean, like, no responsibilities. It was my only responsibility was myself.
Right.
I used to after work, man, I used to work like nights. So coming back home at 11:30, so going online and to play. And man, with a lot of people, I used to play like 20 games. With Pig of the Hunt, we used to play like a lot of games. Dude, who easy to beat. We used to play series first to 100, man. Believe it or not, first to 100.
That's awesome.
So it's just good memories that it's just something good that Mortal Kombat has provided to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's to all of us really. And but yeah, your thread has like 193 replies. So yeah, that was got a lot of attention. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. And surely I want to work on some topics, maybe not necessarily within a few days from now necessarily, but a nice little cushion in between. But I really enjoyed the conversation that we have going between Dave and Gerchap here, and we'll try to get another podcast set up within I don't know, a week or so, or whenever the hell we feel like it, really, and get some topics together, and maybe either gather some stuff from the forums, any questions, topics, and also regarding any of the other NRS news that drops, and we just kind of go from there. Sound good?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sounds perfect.
Awesome.
Sounds perfect.
Well, both you, Dave, Gerchap, I appreciate your time, and have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thanks for having me on.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.